Millions every year, and Optima knows all the ins and outs.
There's some
of the
pretty gnarly
IRS's
traffic
tax
though around the
assistance
convention center, and
program
after
to save you thousands. So what are you waiting for? Call Optima now.
You're a good
for
friend.
free
You are.
consultation.
Call 800-798-2477. That's 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
St. Jude continues to advance by increasing cure rates in childhood cancer. And donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Learn more at stjude.org.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Habitat for Humanity builds houses and so much more. A Habitat build site is where hanging a door opens a world of opportunity, where turning a screw turns the page, and where a simple key can unlock a brighter future. You see, Habitat for Humanity builds houses and so much more. What will you build? Visit Habitat.org to learn more.
Waymo will start schlepping around people in minivans without anyone behind the wheel. The autonomous car unit of Google parent company Alphabet is testing out their vehicles without safety drivers in a limited region of Phoenix with volunteer passengers. The vans have a graphical interface in the back seat, which lets riders watch the driverless course, and buttons to call customer service or pull the car over. Waymo will be the first company to test out fully driverless cars on public roads. The National Institute of Health is passing out 10,000 Fitbits. The initiative is called All of Us, and researchers
Sure you were.
data
Sure you were, bro.
genes and environment influence overall health. 8,000 people have already volunteered.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, Jeff. I mean, I don't even know why you even question that. You are a popular person. They want to ask you questions. Probably want to ask you the same question that they just asked Larry like 10 minutes ago when we got in here. All that kind of stuff.
The iOS 2 operating system. Tech Report.
D&H Groupies.
NBC News Radio.
Hi, this is Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah, I'm just glad we don't have an L so that we really can't get sued for copyright. Yes, exactly.
Your perfect beat for hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse from cardiac arrest, you only need 2 steps to help save a life. Call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of the song Stayin' Alive. Disco is back and it's saving lives. To learn more, go to heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
Nationally supported by the WellPoint Foundation.
$1,000 in your hand? Sounds good, doesn't it? The next keyword is minutes away on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Dunc and Holder on a Friday, November 10th. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan, Clyde Verdun is here. Angie is back in studio at our iHeart studios. Of course, we are live on our NOLA.com Times-Picayune studios. And Jeff, I'm going to give you permission to go after your boy, Boogie. I'm going to give you permission.
Oh, here we go.
God, we were on the show for 1 minute.
I'm going to give you permission.
Why? But I mean, first of all,
I'm going to give you permission. 7 turnovers in the first half last night. 7.
Can we talk about Jeff may not even be in a crotchety old man mood today, but we're going to just start out the game. Hey, can we just push Jeff into crotchety zone?
Look, when you see that, and of course the Pelicans, their winning streak is now over. And
still went 3-1 on the road trip.
They still went 3-1 on the road trip, but Jeff,
I thought they actually played pretty well.
I think they played pretty well.
I was more encouraged in their loss than some of the wins.
I'm giving you permission to go after Boogie, your boy.
Well, look, it's self-explanatory. He makes a lot of bad plays, but he also makes a lot of good plays, and that's what you live with DeMarcus Cousins. You have to live with the errant three-point shots, the drives into the lane that just are beyond, I mean, they're baffling, right? He just puts his head down and goes in the lane. There's nothing there. And sometimes he gets bailed out by the officials and gets a call, especially at home. He gets a lot of those calls. On the road, not so much. And the one thing I would say, and I'm going to ask Alvin Gentry this on Saturday night, Anthony Davis is spectacularly efficient right now, but he's shooting about 4 shots less a game than Cousins. I wonder if he's okay with that.
Well, he shot 10 shots less than Cousins last night.
That's what I'm saying.
10 shots less. Well, I can't, and I've got to back off of Drew Holiday for a day because he played.
Yeah, you do.
He played spectacular last night. I think he heard the show. He's like, man, I got to start actually making shots, and voila, 14 of 20. But look,
he carried them early.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And look, the Pelicans were in that game, back and forth, but Pelicans lose 122 to 118. Obviously, defense was at a minimum in that game. But look, I figured I would give you your opportunity. 7 turnovers, obviously not good, and they were all in the first half for Boogie.
What was his shooting percentage?
He was 8 of 24, so obviously not.
What was he from 3?
Uh-oh. You're taking your opportunity. 2 of 10.
10 threes.
I'm giving you your chance.
I just happened to look up because I was looking at the box this morning over my coffee. DeMarcus Cousins has shot 1 more 3 this year in the same amount of games as Ryan Anderson, and just 3 less than Klay Thompson, who is arguably the best three-point shooter in the league.
That guy has the green light to shoot anytime he wants to.
Same amount of games, he's shot basically the same amount of threes as Klay Thompson. I know he can hit a 3. I don't want him shooting 8 threes a game, which is what he's averaging right now.
Now, he had 20 and 15 last night, so obviously that's not. But it's the 7 turnovers in the first half. It floored me when I'm watching the game. I didn't realize, because you see at halftime they put the stat up, and I was floored that 7 turnovers in the first half. That's like just throwing the ball. Like, here, have it. Take it.
Look, I think that's all going to change, though. I think we all agree. It's going to change when Rondo gets back, and it sounds like he's going to be back soon. And they're going to go through
last night.
Yeah, they're going to go through a little evolution with Rondo back, but I think that's going to alleviate some of the ball handling burdens. At least I hope it does, because funneling the ball through a guy that's averaging a 1-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio is not the wisest way to run an offense. And I realize he's a multidimensional talent, and he's not your true big, just like Anthony Davis did. And they had a great stat last night showing Cousins and Davis's production compared to some of the great tandems in the history of the NBA. And so these guys are different. But, at some point, you got to get the ball in the hands of a guy that knows how to distribute. And that's going to be a little bit of a transition for them because they've been going through Cousins and AD so far.
Absolutely, but I was giving you your chance.
It's self-explanatory. I appreciate that, partner.
Look, I called you and told you to avoid Convention Center Boulevard today.
I did.
I publicly hugged Sheldon Rankins, a Louisvillian, and now I'm doing this for you. It's like it's just Jeff Duncan love day.
And I will say this: your travel advisory was well paid off because it was a. Convention Center was
a mess today.
Yeah, it was a mess. What's going on over there?
Big convention. I think it's like optometrist day. I don't know.
Oh, good. I can go down there and get another pair of contacts. Hopefully,
they'll probably they'll throw them out like Mardi Gras beads. They'll just
that would be terrible because they are not cheap.
No, of course not. Look. Clyde, we work at a company that has health insurance. Just a heads up.
But that's a scam, man. The contact business is a scam. They hold on to your prescription. They won't give it to you because you can go online and order contacts online. I mean, come on.
Or if you haven't had an eye exam in a year, you have to go in and get an eye exam just to get new contacts.
Exactly. It's all a scam. Come on.
Absolutely a scam.
We're on to you, optometrists.
Welcome to New Orleans.
Exactly. Hello. Come to our fair city.
You guys are listening.
Scam artists. I don't even know where that went. Hey, we don't need
scammers.
We don't need contacts to know that the Saints 6-2 going up against the Buffalo Bills 5-3 on Sunday. Of course, that's going to be a big part of our show today. Top of the 11 o'clock hour, we're going to have Lorenzo Reyes from USA Today. He will be covering the game on Sunday up in chilly, possibly rainy Buffalo. So we'll talk with Lorenzo about that. around 10:30, we will have Jimmy Smith, our recruiting guru. Big recruiting news involving one of my Rummel Raiders. Is that right, Clyde?
That is correct.
What happened yesterday?
Man, big news dropped yesterday. Yesterday morning, especially Jimmy Smith. He actually put 2 stories out on this yesterday. But Jamar Chase, one of the top wide receivers in the state, a Rummel Raider, has decommitted from Florida, which is kind of not surprising, seeing as with all the craziness going on right now in Gainesville. No head coach, not winning, so it's probably not a big surprise that Jamar Chase has reopened his recruitment, which we'll get into that today with him, talking about that and what LSU could do to potentially get back in the mix to see if they can get him in Baton Rouge.
Absolutely, and it's not surprising at all. Like you knew once Jim McElwain was out, that's where they were going to go, and so we'll have Jimmy Smith to talk about that and some other recruiting news. Also, prep football playoffs kick off tonight. Jim Derry will join us, of course, our preps guru here at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. And we'll have some open segments. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. And Angie, we have a caller already? What? Yes. Very impatient people. They're ready to talk.
We're ready to go.
What's up? So who do we have? Mike and Bell Chase? Is that it?
That's it.
That's it. I guessed right. Look, lucky guess. Mike and Bell Chase. Thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got this morning?
Thanks. Yeah, I was waiting for you to even come on the air, and the first line out of your mouth was what I was going to call about. I'm going to pile on Boogie, too.
Oh, you and Jeff can give a hug, and y'all can sit back, have some coffee, and just rip away.
Let me take off my headsets.
That's what I'm saying. And I got less problem with his play. A bunch of dumb turnovers last night. But, the guy's a whiner, and it's just whiners are negative, and they bring the team down, the crowd down. I used to coach 12-year-olds, and I would teach them, don't worry about the referees. Don't whine. Get into your game. Stay focused. Be positive. We'll never be an upper echelon acting like that. No good team has a face in their franchise who's a whiner. It just doesn't happen.
I agree, Mike. He spends so much energy targeting the officials. It's no wonder that they call technicals on him because literally almost every time down the court, anything that's any drive to the basket, and let's face it, Cousins, one of his main go-to moves is just put his head down, drive like a bull in a china shop into the lane, and he's going to get contact one way or the other, and there's going to be an official's call. And it's just a constant thing with him, and I agree. I think the organization needs to get a handle on it because it's something that Sacramento obviously couldn't get a handle on, and he spends so much time with the officials, and then the fans get involved, and then he's yelling at fans. It's just a sideshow they don't need.
Yeah. I'm so tired of looking at that scowl on his face. I'm like, cheer up, cheer up and stay positive and stay focused and keep doing your thing. The breaks will go your way. Like you said before, he gets a lot of calls going his way. He gets plenty. But, Shaq went through the same thing. Shaq was always getting killed in the lane. He's such a big, strong guy that they didn't call it enough because it didn't look like it was affecting him,
Yeah.
But still, he didn't whine like this guy.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's part of the package with DeMarcus Cousins. It's what you endure when you bring him into your organization. And I will say this, the thing that's interesting about Cousins is he's kind of the opposite of what you hear a lot of players. He's kind of crazy on the court and negative on the court, and then off the court he's really an engaging, charming guy. It's the exact opposite. Sometimes guys on the court are one way, and then off the court they're not the best person in the world. He's kind of the opposite, so it's really a dichotomy, I think, and someone that's misunderstood in some ways, but also I think an enigma in a lot of ways as well.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he gets it together, All
right, Mike. Hey, appreciate the phone call. Jeff, this is your day to shine. Your day to shine.
What do you mean?
You got first caller calling in, agreeing with you. You're avoiding traffic. I publicly hug Sheldon Rankins. All of this. It's your day, Jeffrey. It's your day.
You publicly did what?
Hug Sheldon Rankins. Read my column first. Why? Because
a glowing column about Rankins.
He feels like, and we're going to play an interview in the 11 o'clock hour.
I can't wait for this.
He feels not literally. I did not literally go hug the man.
Figuratively.
Okay, gotcha.
But
still, that's pretty funny.
But in print, I hugged him.
See,
he needed a hug. He needed a Stuart Smalley intervention. I gave him one yesterday, and we'll hear my interview with him. Also, Brett the Model Martell kind of jumps in and asks a couple questions, so he's in the interview as well.
Or Martell's kind of long-winded, rambling questions.
No, he was measured.
Okay,
he was measured in his questions.
Brett can derail an interview in a heartbeat.
He kind of jumped in. He asked if I had any other questions, and then I said, "No, you can go ahead." So, but he's
very good about that.
He asked some measured questions, and then I kind of come back and I give Sheldon Rankins kind of a pick-me-up, like a pep talk. Like, dude, it's going to be okay.
I'm looking forward to it. He is. We talked about it off the air. Sheldon Rankins is a really candid guy, and he doesn't speak in cliches. For reporters and journalists that get so used to kind of the shop talk or the company line, he doesn't speak like that. And so he's a good guy to go to because he will kind of tell it like it is, including about himself, I guess.
Right, exactly. And I wasn't even steering the conversation, but you look at his stats and you could understand why he feels the way he does. And publicly, look, it's not like he's gotten a lot of backlash because, look, the defense has played well.
Right.
Everyone around him has great stats, and he doesn't have them, but there's a reason behind that, and that's what I wrote about in my 1st and 10 column. So we'll talk with Sheldon Rankins about, well, I talked with him already, so we won't talk with him currently, but it's a pre-recorded.
We got it. We're with you.
Yeah, exactly. Just got to be accurate here today on Dunc and Holder. On a Friday, even Angie's fired up for Country Fried Friday. She made sure to ask. Make sure to get the music ready. Well, of course she's always going to take requests, but look, at least it's not Nickelback Thursday. That's
it never needs to be Nickelback Thursday. It never needs to be Nickelback Day whatsoever.
Any of those days.
Any of those days.
Let's line up the show once again. Jimmy Smith, we'll talk recruiting around 10:30, 10:45. Jim Derry will talk about prep football playoffs kicking off this weekend. And top of the 11 o'clock hour, Lorenzo Reyes from USA Today. He will be covering Saints Bills, so of course we'll talk with him about that. And Lorenzo, let me tell you what, he has made a grand proclamation about the Saints. I think you're going to want to listen to what he has to say about that.
Tease.
Yeah. That's how you do it here, Jeff. Come on.
Tease, I like it.
Exactly. So let's take a break right here on this show. Again, we'll have a couple of open segments. You can jump in, 504-260-1280. But look, of course, 11 o'clock hour is going to be all Saints, Bills, NFL chatter. So, and then we'll talk, again, prep action, so big news. So we'll talk with Jimmy Smith and Jim Derry about that coming up here shortly. So come on back, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder. Clyde's mellow jamming.
It's the band Perry.
Text the
Who? That's the band Perry.
200
Perry.
The band Perry.
Firming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply. That's win.
No, it's not the Who. It's the band Perry.
Oh, nice.
Is it Tattooed Santa?
She's at the bar. Comes back in. He's in
The band Perry, brother, two brothers and a sister. Sister's the lead singer. One brother plays bass, the other one plays guitar. It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
This is Tulane football.
Good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Visit East Carolina this Saturday, November 11th, here on your home for Tulane football.
Sports 1280, New Orleans.
The JCPenney Holiday Challenge is here. Find great gifts for your family at amazing prices. Get 50% off Arizona apparel for the family and Cook's Electrics for $9.99 after mail-in rebate. And Friday and Saturday only, pick up faux fur boots for just $14.99. Plus, get $10 off with coupon when you spend $25 or more. Get everything on your list for less than you think. JCPenney. Coupon valid 11/8 to 11/12. Some exclusions apply. One rebate per item per address except in Rhode Island. Rebate given at the register in Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Miami-Dade County, Florida. See store jcp.com for details.
Sensory sensitivity, repetitious behavior, lack of eye contact. You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You wake up to birds chirping before the alarm even starts to ring. It's 6 a.m. and dawn's barely here. A choir of birds singing in your ear. It was cute at first, but now it's just the worst. Wrap it up, guys. When your morning is hell, just go to Taco Bell.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's Breakfast Crunch Wrap. A whole breakfast wrapped up and grilled to eat on the go. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
My son Aiden has asthma. Secondhand smoke has triggered his asthma so badly He ended up in the emergency room and spent multiple nights in intensive care. Now he's on a whole bunch of medications. My tip to you is, don't be shy about telling people not to smoke around your kids.
Half of U.S. kids are exposed to secondhand smoke. If you or someone you know wants help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit Stop Texting.
A lot of uplifting commercials in this.
Maybe they knew something before we got on.
This is Linda McMahon, head of the U.S. Small Business Administration. As we enter the holiday shopping season, I encourage you to join me in celebrating Small Business Saturday on November 25th. That's the Saturday right after Thanksgiving. Support the small businesses that make your community unique. Shop at your favorite local stores or discover new ones. Join me by getting out there to shop small on November 25th, Small Business Saturday.
She's gone country. Look at them boots. She's gone country.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
She's gone country.
Welcome back, Dunc and Holder. Jeff, you watched the game last night, Seahawks and who'd they lose to? 49ers? Not 49ers.
No, they
the
beat
Cardinals.
They beat
the Cardinals and
lost half their lineup.
Exactly. Big injury. Richard Sherman out for the year with a ruptured Achilles, and to me, I think that's something to where you look at that injury and boy, it can affect that defense, and it makes them a little less scary if the Saints have to meet them up in the playoffs at some point.
They lost a bunch of players. I think Dwayne Brown went out, Cam Chancellor went out, C.J. Prosey went out. I think. I mean, they had I think 7 or 8 players that did not return to the game. It was an amazing. I mean, it was a good win for them, just to win despite the injuries. But right now, I think the Saints are as healthy as any team in the league. I know they've lost some guys, and we don't know the status of Taron Armstead and Kenny Vaccaro. Delvin Breaux looks like he's out for the year. But all things considered, when you start looking around the league, even at the quarterback position, I thought about it last night. How many teams are playing with backup quarterbacks right now? I bet half the NFC has got their backup quarterback in.
It's true.
Yeah, it's amazing.
When you think about the ones that are currently leading the NFC, they're all playing with their guys. Philadelphia, New Orleans, Los Angeles, and then even go to the AFC side. Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, the guys who have their starting guys are good. But I mean, Arizona, man, wow, you got to feel that this is probably Arizona's last ditch effort, probably with Bruce Arians and Carson Palmer. Possibly. I mean, with Adrian Peterson resurgence, I mean, who knows? I mean, all bets are off.
Well, he wasn't surging anywhere last night.
Yeah, not last night.
Oh, wait, what?
And he fumbled.
You cannot
Poor Adrian.
Let me point that away from the man after the last couple of weeks before that.
Let me point out, Deuce McAllister told me something. It stuck in my brain like a mental burr. He said that Adrian Peterson's fumbling problems are largely attributed to the fact that he only carries the ball in his right hand. He does not move it to his left arm. Every once in a while he does, but 99% of the time he keeps it in his right arm. And sure enough, last night he goes in the line, doesn't move the ball, doesn't protect it, and loses a fumble. It's weird. A guy that's been that successful and played that long has not transferred over the ball security issues that I'm sure the Saints tried to address with him, but it reared its ugly head last night.
Well, look, I think Arizona's probably done as far as playoff aspirations. I don't think they'd be winning anyway, but still. It's more about the Richard Sherman injury, and also just reports on the throughout Twitter from some national NFL reporters that the league is looking into Russell Wilson and something with his concussion, and they're seeing if they did the right things. And look, that's a big deal, and he's one of the faces of the league. And how many times have we heard concussion, and obviously the Seahawks wanted to win that game, and maybe they were a little shady in their dealings with Russell Wilson's concussion or not, or whatever it was.
Whatever it was a shot, though. I mean, watching that in slow motion of just basically helmet to jaw, and the only thing standing between, a broken jaw is basically a chin strap. I mean, at that point, you have to absolutely go back and look at and do at least some kind of concussion protocol. But, I mean, they have no choice. The NFL can't not take this seriously and look into it, because otherwise they'll look like hypocrites in talking about head injuries and what they want to do to prevent head injuries, but then not look into an obvious head injury last night to one of their star players that they also need. They got to look into it.
Absolutely. And but look, hey, they won, and yet they might be in a bit of trouble. So interesting to see what happens there. And you look at Seattle, and you look at, say, the Rams in that division. I still think it's up in the air. I mean, I'm not totally sold on the Rams, and everyone asks me, look, when am I going to believe in the Saints? It's not me, but say figuratively. When are people going to believe in the Saints? They need this barometer game against the Rams, and I just don't know if that's still the barometer game. Because I'm not totally buying in on the Rams right now. I'm not.
Well, I understand that, but I think similarly to, say, the Saints in 2006 that kind of rose up out of nowhere with a new coach and a new quarterback at the time, I think that's where the Rams are. And so people aren't going to buy in just because there's been no track record there. But it's hard to deny what they're doing. I think they're leading the league in scoring. They rank among the league leaders in so many big-time categories. And they've got talent. I mean, that defense has got Aaron Donald. I mean, he's one of the best defensive players in the entire league. They've got some other really good defensive linemen, Robert Quinn, Michael Brockers, LSU grad. So that team, I think, is pretty stout. And the acquisition of Andrew Whitworth was huge for them, maybe the best free agent acquisition in the entire league. And Todd Gurley is a top running back. I mean, they're pretty good in every area. The acquisition of what's the receiver they got from Buffalo?
Robert Woods?
No, I thought they got Sammy Watkins?
Yeah, Sammy Watkins, yes. But they have Robert Woods. But so it kind of gives him a 1-2 punch.
Cooper Kupp, the son of a former New Orleans Saints player, Jake or Jack Kupp. I think it's Jake Kupp.
You could just make up any name.
I
don't know.
Former center.
Obviously not super popular.
No, he was a Pro Bowl center for the Saints back in the day. And his son is Cooper Kupp, who's a rookie star receiver. Anything that happened before 2000, Larry's out on.
Wow.
Exactly. Never. Exactly.
Yeah. The Saints didn't exist.
You're like Tom Benson.
Until 2000.
Remember when Tom Benson?
Dalton Hilliard, never heard of him.
Tom Benson.
Who's Morton Anderson? Ricky Jackson? The Bum Patrol? I mean, Dome Patrol? I don't know who you're talking
Exactly. That's why you're making my point for me. Tom Benson eliminated the John Meekum years in the media guide for about 3 or 4 years because he refused to acknowledge the organization before he took over the team in 1985 or 86, I think it was. So the media guide, you'd look in it and try and find, what happened in that first year in '67, and there was nothing in there from the Meekum era. And finally, I think Greg Bensel talked him into putting it back in.
Didn't someone write a column? I think maybe it might have been Bill Roden from the New York Times wrote a column about what the hell is this about?
Because he discovered it at a Saints game. He came down and was asking us about it at the Times-Picayune area. Like, what's going on? What's wrong with the media guy? And we explained it to him, and he devoted a whole column in the New York Times about how quirky the Saints organization and owner is.
Oh, boy. On that note, let's take a break right here on this show. When we get back, we'll talk some high school football recruiting with Jimmy Smith, our recruiting guru here at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. And then after that, we'll have Jim Derry on to talk prep football playoffs. So come on back here, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeart Radio app on a Country Fried Friday. We're Dunc and Holder.
For coffee.
No, good, bud.
Did you ever eat your Rice Krispies?
I ate it yesterday, dude.
Did you ever eat your Rice Krispies?
Yeah. I took it out and sold it because that's the kind of person I am.
Brought to you by Holiday Inn. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce
Sold it
Katz.
downstairs.
Yeah.
$10.
Beautiful day. Mostly sunny skies.
Brought that for $1.25. I sold it for $5.
Now tonight, you'll need a jacket or sweater. 45 on the North Shore for the low, 54 south. Now tomorrow on Saturday, a dry day, but a few more clouds move in. Tomorrow's high in the lower 70s. And then on Sunday, as a disturbance works toward the western Gulf, moving in, we are expecting a few scattered showers at about 30%, with highs at about 71 degrees. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz with your Weather Authority forecast.
Stop by the Roundhouse Bar and Grill inside the Round Holiday Inn on the West Bank Expressway for breakfast, lunch, or dinner 7 days a week.
Sensory sensitivity, repetitious behavior, lack of eye contact. You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
O'Reilly. When it comes to vehicle safety, having poor visibility is a risk not worth taking. Get set for this fall's weather by visiting your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store during the See Better, Drive Safer sale. You'll find deals on name brand headlights, wiper blades, and everything you need to see better and drive safer. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
All right, Jimmy Smith's on the line.
Good deal.
Experts say even light consumption of alcohol can increase your risk of cancer. The American Society of Clinical Oncologists says 5.5% of all new cancers are linked to alcohol. It specifically cites neck, throat, and voice box cancer, liver and colon cancer, a type of esophageal cancer, and breast cancer. The more you drink, the higher the risk. Their message is, if you don't drink now, don't start. CVS Health, one of the nation's biggest drugstore chains, says it plans to launch next-day prescription drug delivery service next year. It'll offer same-day service in several major cities, including New York and San Francisco. The move is seen as a way for CVS to gird itself against possible competition by Amazon. Drugstore chains are worried that Amazon will disrupt their
I was just getting ready to move to your seat.
Change the way people buy toys, books, and groceries.
Boo!
Update.
Boo!
Kessler, NBC News Radio.
Habitat for Humanity builds houses and so much more. A Habitat build site is where hanging a door opens a world of opportunity, where turning a screw turns the page, and where a simple key can unlock a brighter future. You see, Habitat for Humanity builds houses and so much more. What will you build? Visit Habitat.org to learn more.
Atlantis, where life expresses itself as an endless flow of energy. Are you ready? Atlantis, Bahamas at heart.
Book by November 13th for the best winter rates at 1-800-Atlantis or AtlantisBahamas.com.
Our insiders are talking your teams. Sports 1280 New Orleans.
A pair of jeans that fit just right. And the radio.
Welcome back, Dunc and Holder. Joining us right here on the show, Jimmy Smith, our NOLA.com Times-Picayune prep high school football recruiting expert. Of course, big news around the Rummel Raiders and Jamar Chase. He decommitted from Florida, which probably isn't some big stunner, but look, he can open it up. And I said yesterday that hello LSU better be giving him a call, and it seems like that's the case. Hey Jimmy, what's the latest with Jamar Chase? And like I said, not a big stunner once Jim McElwain's fired that Jamar Chase is going to kind of test his options elsewhere.
Yeah, really not a surprise at all. This is very common anytime there is a coaching change. We saw it with Les Miles and LSU, although Ed Orgeron was able to come in and kind of steer the ship back in the right direction. But, it was certainly something that was anticipated. I actually thought it was going to happen sooner. And it's just, Chase's recruitment as a whole is basically a microcosm of recruiting. I mean, it is so up and down. You see the emotion involved with it, the quick commitment to Florida that many people didn't anticipate coming. He was expected to commit to TCU or possibly LSU just 2 weeks prior on national TV. out of nowhere, he commits to Florida. He committed to Kansas after a junior day visit that lasted about 48 hours. So, I mean, his recruitment's been difficult to track, but it shows the difficult process that these kids face. And I think LSU is certainly pleased with the latest developments. They've been on Chase, have not backed off, regardless of what his stance might have been at any given time. They're certainly in the thick of things as we wind down towards National Signing Day. But it's been difficult to reel them in, and no telling where this thing could go.
Jimmy, Mickey Joseph, the LSU wide receiver coach, Joseph was hired basically to recruit the New Orleans area for the LSU program. What kind of progress has he made in his short stint down in Baton Rouge? Is he making inroads in New Orleans? It's such a critical recruiting ground for LSU.
It is, and LSU's prowess in that region is kind of what brought them back to national prominence. From Baton Rouge to New Orleans, getting those key guys to stay home year after year. No longer do you have Ed Reed going to Miami and so on. And that relationship really started with Frank Wilson. Frank Wilson was the one that really started to turn it back in LSU's direction, put the fence around Louisiana. Once he left, it was a difficult situation for a guy like Jabbar Jaloop to step into. He had to ease some concerns that LSU might not pay attention to these programs that they had received from Frank Wilson. And then he gets fired the day after National Signing Day, which really ticked off a bunch of the local coaches. So Mickey Joseph had to come in, put out all the fires, and really start rebuilding that trust from the ground level. Early results are promising. It seems that he is in the mix for nearly every top prospect in the area. And it's an extremely difficult task for him to step into, being that he's never really had to coach at a major program. And now you're throwing him in one of the most difficult areas in the country to recruit, the New Orleans area. And not only that, but he's got to heal a bunch of wounds that developed from things that transpired years prior. So he's had a huge task to undertake. He's done a great job so far, but we won't know the final results until National Signing Day. So I guess jury's still out, I guess you would say, but early results are promising.
Jimmy Smith, recruiting guru here for NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Jimmy, what's been the biggest challenge for college coaches with this early signing day date coming up? And obviously, different roadmap. And what's kind of been, from the people you're talking to, what's kind of been the big challenges surrounding that date?
Yeah, it's really when and how to schedule these official visits. Prior to this move this year, schools really like to get visits really close to National Signing Day. Kids were removed from their football seasons. When you're hosting the kid for an official visit on an off week, you have from Friday evening all the way through Sunday night to spend one-on-one time with these kids. If you host them during a game week, you're really limited on the amount of face time you can give them. And so schools really like to wait till after the season for their key targets, official visits. Well, that's been moved up a couple months. The NCAA kind of tried to work with them and open up some of the month of December, allowing for official visits, which this will be the first year doing that. But that's created a lot of difficulty for these schools on when to bring these guys in and how to kind of make the most of these official visits now that they're happening during the football season. So that's been a difficult thing. And then now the coaching changes and the hires, I think that moves up too. You're going to see teams make quick movements here to try to solidify coaches or make moves, prior to this, new hires prior to this that might help in their recruiting efforts. So there's a lot of unknowns for the coaches that are kind of waiting to see what this means for their futures and their jobs and how it changes the hiring process and the dates that a lot of these things transpire. So there's a lot of concern on their end just for their job security now as well. So it's going to be interesting. I think we're not going to really know the impact of this for a good year or two as everybody works out the kinks. But it certainly added an interesting element. It's made my month of December a lot more difficult to plan and schedule than in years prior, and it's going to be a hectic few weeks once these football seasons wrap up.
And that date is December 20th is the initial early signing day, and it's only a two-day period, so obviously a lot to get in right around Christmas time.
Jimmy, Notre Dame, I'm curious to know about Notre Dame. Are they making a commitment back into New Orleans? I see they're involved with McDonough 35 receiver Lawrence Keys. Over the years, they've had success, obviously, recruiting the Catholic League. They have a strong alumni base here in New Orleans. Have they, with their success this season, are they involved at all down here? And what is their chances with this Lawrence Keys?
I think they've got a really good chance with Lawrence Keys. If LSU doesn't make that push for him to commit and lock up one of their spots, I would think Notre Dame might be in line as the leader for Lawrence Keys. You know, they do have different academic requirements, so Notre Dame has to really spot recruit anyway. They have to find guys that meet all of their requirements. But they seem to be kind of looking back into this area. A few years ago, they recruited a kid named Jerry Tillery out of Evangel, a phenomenal prospect, and a great defensive lineman for them. We saw them last year. I'm drawing a blank on the young guy's name, but they signed Michael Young from Destrehan last year, a young wide receiver. And this year they're making a big push for Keys. I think they are going to be spot recruiting. Now that anytime a school has success recruiting in an area, and then those kids come in and prove their worth, they're likely to come back. And so the more kids they sign and the more kids that go up there and make an impact on their program, the more likely they are to keep coming back. So if they were to sign a kid like Keys this year, then I think you'll definitely see them roll out 8, 12, 15 scholarship offers next spring to 2019 prospects. That's generally how this thing works. And I think it's good for the state of Louisiana. When I first moved here, there weren't a lot of programs that really put a lot of recruiting efforts into Louisiana. We've seen that grow over the years. I think it's phenomenal for the kids of Louisiana, the high school programs, families, communities. So anytime a school like Notre Dame, who carries a big stick and a lot of weight, is paying attention to your area, it's a plus. It's certainly a plus.
Jimmy, apparently Ed Orgeron saying that this weekend's going to be a big day for junior recruiting. Any kind of heads up on what's going to be happening with kids going to go up to the LSU Arkansas game?
Yeah, and this kind of goes to what we were speaking of. You know, LSU is one of those schools that's really trying to hold off on a lot of its official visits until after the football season, so they could have a lot more of that one-on-one time. So they're going to cram a bunch in December and then look to follow up with guys that are unsigned heading into signing day through January. So this weekend they look at like they're going to have mostly underclassmen, a big contingent of prospects from the state of Texas, a kid like Dylan Wright, a big 3-star wide receiver, Gerald Irons, and a defensive tackle from the Houston area, or Spring, Texas, right outside Houston, Marcus Banks. There's a lot of top younger prospects from the state of Texas that are going to be on hand, as well as some younger commitments. They have a 2-sport athlete, Maurice Hampton from Tennessee, that this staff absolutely loves. One of the best safety prospects to come out anywhere in the country in the last few years, but he's also projected to be a top 3-4 round pick in baseball. So that'll be interesting to see how that develops long term, but he'll be on hand. Derek Stingley Jr., one of the top cornerbacks I've ever laid eyes on from Dunham, he'll be on hand this weekend. So most of the guys will be the underclassmen, and they will be from far and wide. Now, they are hosting a big visitor for an official visit in 2018 class, and 5-star receiver Jalen Hall from California, a guy that not many people are giving LSU a chance with this kid, but the schools he's been looking at, USC, Nebraska most notably, even Oregon, haven't been able to close the deal. And there might be an area for LSU to kind of move in and maybe swipe one of the top prospects from California, which they haven't been able to do in years. But this will be a heavy underclassmen group on hand this weekend.
Jimmy Smith, our recruiting guru here at NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune. Follow him on Twitter at Jimmy Detail. Hey, Jimmy, appreciate it. As always, great insight. And, yeah, your December is definitely going to be busier than probably you ever imagine. But awesome insight, and appreciate the time as always.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good weekend.
All right, that's Jimmy Smith. Let's switch gears to the prep football playoffs coming up here next, starting tonight. And, of course, Jim Derry is going to be all over it here at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, so we will chat with him coming up on the other side of this break. So come on back here as we are on a Country Fried Friday here at the show. So,
laid back.
Laid back. There you go.
Just easing into the weekend with the D&H. We're going to start calling it D&H.
D&H.
D&H. I don't even get it.
Duncan Holder.
I still don't get it.
Of course not, because you're not cool.
Exactly. I'm admittedly not cool.
Cocky Clyde is back.
Cocky Clyde is back.
On a Country Fried Friday.
Exactly here. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Duncan Holder.
D&H.
I know you're ready to ride.
I'm like D&H. What?
D&H, what is that?
Like the new K&B.
Right? Lots of drugs. We don't condone drug usage.
Adam 1 for your chance to
That's what you're labeled here, D&H.
Thank you. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, Angie.
I think we should get our marketing department to produce K&B logos with D&H.
Oh, that would be so great.
That would be cool.
Oh,
I agree.
For a twin pack of Sylvania Silver Star headlights and get a $15
you just have to make it look close to it. It's not copyright infringement.
D&H completely different than K&B.
Yeah, right?
Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
St. Jude continues to advance by increasing cure rates in childhood cancer. And donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Learn more at St. Jude.
So the car quarterback is named Skylar Perry.
Skylar Perry.
Not
Tyler Perry. Please, he is not in any movies.
You know he's getting that.
He is not dressing up as his grandmother.
You know he's getting grief from his classmates.
Yes.
Although he is the quarterback.
He is the quarterback, so it's like, hey, leave me alone or I'm not throwing you the ball.
The people that mean the most to you.
Skylar Perry.
Family.
What were his parents thinking? Come on.
They need you.
Well, I mean, trust me, it's a lot better than a lot of other parents are doing out here for their kids. So I'll take Skylar. There's a lot of other names out here that I can't jive with. I can't.
Clyde, is Clyde your first name?
Yes.
What's your middle name?
I don't have one.
What?
I do not have one.
You don't have a middle name?
I do not have a middle name.
How does that happen?
Well, when you're named after your dad doesn't have a middle name. That's kind of how that works.
You're Clyde the second? Or
I am a junior, yeah.
You're a junior?
But my dad didn't have a middle name.
You gonna name your son Clyde?
Absolutely not.
Jim Derry's on the line.
Sweet.
Now hang up on him. Just kidding.
Cocky Clyde. Get in the house. Seriously, what about a shirt with that logo and a D&H?
Right? That's why I said as soon as they did the main logo, I was like, look, if y'all just do like a D and an H with the ampersand in the middle, kind of like this, it would be big. It would be huge. Huge.
Is that the K&B logo?
Yeah, it's the one. Yeah.
This goes
Ain't
back
there
to
no
the
more,
same
darling.
To learn more, go to heart.org.
Where did that come from?
What do you mean? Ain't there no more? Like Schwegman.
Yeah,
Ain't there no more.
I know that was your voice.
That's like Ronnie and Darlene from Metri or from Arabic.
I will say this: Corey slips in there once in a while. It's pretty funny.
Oh yeah,
like the phone number.
Phone number.
The vans have a graphical interface
Ain't there no more.
which lets riders watch the driver in this course and buttons to call customer service.
I think you should do the whole show in that voice.
Will be the first
Next caller.
The next caller.
Dwayne and Metri.
Yeah.
Hey, darling.
The initiative is called All of Us.
Our ratings are probably shooting through the roof.
Style data to better understand.
And now we're going to the Kenna. We're going to Kenna, bro.
Influence overall health. 8,000 people have already volunteered, but you need to be invited to volunteer. Apple will now let you test out Apple Pay Cash. The person-to-person payments allows you to send and receive cash inside the Messages app.
Oh, Jim Derry's post just froze my computer.
Oh, that's what you get.
Really? iOS 2 operating system. Tech report. Larry Olson.
You all will be pleased to know that Boogie's no longer leading the league in turnovers. He's
What a
0.1 behind
what
James
a
Harden.
surprise! That's still not leading.
James Harden's got 61.
See?
Boogie's got 60.
He also scored a lot of points last. He also played really well last night against the Cavs.
Well, he's also
Know when to fold up.
This is Duncan Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
You never count your money.
Welcome back, Country Fried Friday, and the so-called originator of Country Fried Friday, even though, look, his nemesis is not pushing the buttons today. Dave is out sick, so we've got the wonderful Angie.
It's been such a pleasant 2 days.
And joining us now is, like I said, the so-called originator of Country Fried Friday, Jim Derry, joining us right here on the show. Jim, what's your big game of the week? Where you guys headed? And look, it's high school football playoff time, so obviously matchups galore to talk about today. So where you guys headed tonight?
Regis Radiator, NOLA.com game of the week. Clyde, Mike, Labradette, Travis Connolly, and myself will be at LV McGinty Stadium in Slidell, staying on the North Shore. Slidell and Dutchtown. The 16-17 matchup in Class 5A. So we're looking forward to that tonight.
And what intrigued you about the matchup?
Well, I'll tell you, the 16-17 matchups are obviously always, not always, but usually pretty tight. And tonight, what's going to be interesting is, will Slidell be able to play the same kind of defense that they've been playing the last few weeks and surprisingly finishing 7-3? It's been their first, I think it's their first home playoff game since 2006. So it's been a while for the Tigers. And Larry Favre, in his 5th season now, he thought maybe that last season would be the season that they would start getting things together, and it's kind of taken a little bit longer than he thought. But, you know, in this season, after losing a bunch of seniors last year, I don't think we knew what to expect from Slidell. So they're kind of a surprise, and they're playing a Dutchtown team that's coming in a little banged up there. They have a really great quarterback named Ben May, who is missed last week with an ankle injury. I don't think he's playing tonight. So they used a two-quarterback system last week, running a little bit more. Does that play into Slidell's strength? We'll have to find out. So real interesting matchup tonight, and I don't think anyone knows what to expect. I mean, I predicted Dutchtown to win only because I'm kind of going by their schedule, and their schedule's been a little bit tougher, and the way they've been playing as of late. In fact, they're the only team this year to beat St. Amant, so who's 9-1. So, and it's going to be an interesting matchup, and I wouldn't be surprised if either team wins. I would be surprised if it's not a really tight game. That we haven't had a ton of tight games, as Clyde can tell you, but I think tonight should be a good one.
Well, JD, usually these early round games, there's some mismatches. I know the playoff pairings are kind of watered down because of the structure of the LHSAA, but what are some other pairings that you are going to keep your eye on tonight?
Yeah, we had a mismatch last night, as one would expect. The 1-seed Carr beat Buckeye, I believe it was 55-13. So, and Carr, the defending state champion, it'd be a surprise if they don't make it to at least the semifinals to play Warren Easton again. So, yeah, there are a lot of mismatches, but there are some good ones too. And you know, well, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings up there, but you know, Rummel is making the trip up to Shreveport, and they're going to play a Bird team that's they're both 5-4, so that should be a very interesting matchup. And the winner is lucky enough to get to play in Shreveport again next week to play Evangel, so to the top seed. So Rummel's really banged up. They've had a lot of issues. They're running, both their starting running backs are out. Dwan Coupon is out for the season, and Correll Jackson last week he's going to have to miss a game for saying something he wasn't supposed to say last week and get kicked out of a game. So they're going to have to figure out how to do it, and how to. Jamar Chase will probably be triple teamed. They'll have to figure out a way, but I think they will figure out a way. I think Rummel's going to go to Shreveport and maybe extend their season by 1 week. So that's one I'm looking at. There are a couple other interesting matchups. Lutcher is coming over to North Shore. I mean, to the North Shore to play Salmon in Class 4A. Salmon's had just an unbelievably good season. Coach Jerry Leonard with a host of seniors. Kind of back to their glory days a little bit. First time they've won 8 games in quite a while. And they're going to run into a Lutcher team, the two-time defending state champions in 3A, now playing in 4A. And they come in as a 21 seed, I believe, something around there. And, you know, they're Lutcher. They're kind of like Carr, just with a down year. They know how to win. That's all that they do is win. So I think Salmon's got their hands full as a 9 seed. So that's going to be an interesting matchup, because that's one where I predicted the 24 seed to win. So we'll be looking at that. In the Catholic League, you got St. Aug hosting Jesuit, and the 5 against the 12. But would you be shocked if 12 won? Not really, because these two teams know each other as well as anybody, and that's what happens when you get into Division I and these teams start playing each other again. And I got my eye out as well on Brother Martin, who's playing McKinley tonight. I think Brother Martin's been playing really well. They've won 5 in a row, and it wouldn't surprise me if they made a run to like the semifinals. And so there are a ton of interesting matchups tonight, and we'll have our eyes out on all of them.
Jim Derry, NOLA.com, Times-Picayune, prep guru here. Join us right here on Dunc and Holder. And I'm looking at some of these brackets, and you look at 4A. Of course, you said Carr. Of course, they blew out Buckeye. But Lakeshore, how legit is their shot at getting deep and possibly challenging Carr to win a state title?
They're in the good half of the bracket. So as far as that goes, in fact, Lakeshore has had, you never want to take anything away from a 10-0 team. So I know I'm pausing and hesitating. It's not sounding good for the Titans, but you never want to take anything away from a 10-0 team. But here's the thing: they haven't been really truly tested yet. So I don't know that anyone knows how good this team is. They could be a team that they've shown all year long, averaging 45 points a game, just rolling up points on opponents. But, after really this week and then maybe next week, then they would face a team like McDonough 35 in the quarterfinals. And I think that's when we'll get to know a little bit more about Lakeshore and how good they really are. But again, take nothing. This team has never won a playoff game in its short history. They've only been around for about 8 years. So what Craig Jones has done with this team is fantastic. But I need to see a little bit more. I mean, they're going to beat Pearl River tonight. They're in the same district. They beat them 2 weeks ago by, I believe, 24 points or something like that. So they're going to win tonight. And then next week they're going to play the South Lafourche Tioga, I believe. And that's a 15-18 seed matchup, and they should win that. But then they start getting into the big boys. So when they get to the quarterfinals, if they can beat a McDonough 35 or a team like that, then maybe we'll believe a little bit more. But as far as making a run all the way, and then they're going to have to probably go through an undefeated Benton team, although they'll get them at home. Anything can happen when you get that far, but I just don't know what to make of these Titans just yet. I need to see a little bit more.
Jim, real quick, about 20 seconds. Where are you going again tonight? Let everybody know where to listen.
Regis Radiator, NOLA.com game of the week is at Slidell tonight. Slidell and McKinley, the 16-17 seeds face off in 5A. We'll be on Facebook Live. We'll be on NOLA.com. You can find us and on streaming through the Mixlr app, MIXLR. So any one of those 3 options, you can find us tonight, and Clyde will be making his way up to the North Shore before too long.
There we go. All right, that's Jim Derry. Of course, check out all of our prep coverage. He does it all.
Dominates.
Exactly, for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. All right, hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. When we get back, Lorenzo Reyes from USA Today will join us here, talk Saints, Bills. So come on back for hour number 2 here, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
I'm getting my NFL picks down.
In your hand.
Do you have yours prepared?
Oh, no.
Lock, upset, fantasy football stud.
Last week my stud got
deactivated. My stud performed great. Dak Prescott had 2 touchdown passes and a run.
Mine got benched because he was a bad boy.
Oh, Fournette?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you don't want to take this picture? Sweet, dude. You want to come to meetings? Awesome. You want to come to training? Sweet. You're on the bench. Like,
John told me that the Jaguars coaches told him that Fournette got away with murder at LSU.
I'm sure.
Was late to meetings all the time, all that stuff. You would have been there. You would have known.
And Sherman said he finally felt it pop during the game last night.
Basically, what are you going to do?
That same game, little mysterious action happened.
So they're trying to
Russell Wilson
curtail that because it's going on already there. What's happened is he's going back to New Orleans. He's going back to New Orleans after games
conducting a thorough
because his
review of
family's
Wilson's
here,
concussion
his daughter's
test.
here.
They say if indeed
So
the
he's
league concussion
flying back and
protocol
forth and it's
wasn't
causing
followed, the
problems
Seahawks
because
would
he's
be
not
subject
getting back
to
and stuff like
discipline,
that.
including a fine.
Stuff he's got to
Suspension of
learn.
Cowboys
He's a young
running
kid,
back Ezekiel Elliott will finally begin on Sunday at Atlanta. I'm Deb Carson.
Gary LaVox here from Rascal Flats. Seems like there's never enough time to get
By the way,
done
the
what you have to.
CMAs this weekend, so we can
get
yammer about that. I really don't even know who won what. I just know
gonna be on there.
He was on there. He played his song.
Boys round here.
He played some song, and then Rolling Stone was writing about how he has his song about his guns or his daddy's gun, and you
drinking that
how to know how to hold it like a woman.
Talking about girls. Talking about trucks. Riding those red dirt roads.
That's all country music is: booze, women, and tractors.
And apparently Tim McGraw just said. I just saw this on Rolling Stone's Twitter that Tim McGraw says country music needs to start talking about what the Second Amendment really is. So I'm like, oh, country music, time to go, time to go.
Better Drive Safer sale. You'll find deals on name brand headlights, wiper blades, and everything you need to see.
You know, when I worked up in Monroe, there was this wild rumor. I don't know if you remember. It was before your all's time. There was a guy named Roosevelt Potts, who, when I was working up there, he was like the stud recruit
Gary
out of
LaVox here
Rayville,
from Rascal Flats.
and he signed with Ole
never
Miss.
enough time to get done what you have to.
Like
It's
not
easy
getting
to
in
get wrapped
school,
up
and he ends
in
up in
work
Northeast
and the
Louisiana. He
busyness
played in the
of
NFL
life.
for like 5 or 6 years. He was like a
Sometimes
stud.
the people you care
Anyway,
about most.
Roosevelt
Waste of your
Potts,
time.
when he was in high school,
As you chase your dreams,
got
don't
like
forget the people that mean the
fight
most to you.
outside of
Your
this
friends,
honky tonk up near
family,
Rayville,
kids,
and
or
the word on
spouse.
the street was that
They
it was
need
Tim
you.
McGraw.
It's a
and
good
him that got
reminder
in a
for me,
fight.
and I
this is
hope
when
for
Tim
you too.
McGraw was younger and
This message
kind
is
of a
brought to
country
you by the
music
US Air Force.
wannabe. And Roosevelt
college
Potts was like the
student. You could use
star
advice
local
on
high
student
school
loan.
running back,
I have
and it
to
was
leave
like a
school,
racial
but I
thing.
still have student loans to pay back.
It was all kinds of crazy. We could
graduated
never
and
get to the
got
bottom of it,
help
so we
me to
never
pay back my
reported on
loan
it. But
in
it was
full.
supposed
Now
to be
you
true.
just reported it to the world.
FCC.
Well,
National
just good job.
Foundation
It's,
for
you know, the
Counseling.
statute of
With
limitations
member
stuff. It's been like 20 years. Tim McGraw's managed to carve out his
He survived.
Yeah, it was like a crazy thing. Like Roosevelt Potts ended up with like a shotgun and fired into a crowd, and that's why he didn't get it on this. That's what it was. He was going there, and then they pulled his scholarship because of the incident. It's a little inside for you.
Country stars Brad Paisley and Carrie Underwood
Yeah,
hosting
remember
their
Roosevelt
second
Potts?
consecutive year
Going
of the
on here.
CMA Awards.
I gotta look up Roosevelt Potts. You don't remember him?
I know Annie Potts.
You don't know
On Designing Women, right?
Roosevelt Potts.
Miranda
Ghostbusters
Lambert has been
reference.
leading the nominations
He
up
played
to
a few
5
years. I don't know how
awards
many years he
including
played. I know he
Music
played for the
Video
Colts
of
for a
the
little
Year,
while.
Single of the Year, and Song of the Year.
Played 6 years.
Tickets are on
Ran
sale
for
for a
700
benefit
yards as a
concert
rookie.
dedicated
It's
to
not
the
bad.
victims of the Las Vegas mass shooting. The Vegas Strong Benefit Concert at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas takes place December 1st. It'll include performances by Boys to Men, Imagine Dragons, and The Killers, among others. It marks the 2-month anniversary of the shooting.
Roosevelt Potts. Name from the past there, man.
Pop singer Sia releasing a nude photo of herself on Instagram.
No one cares.
Bare backside. She wrote
No
a
one
caption
cares
of
about
someone
Sia.
was reportedly trying to sell
She
it.
hollered at everybody on one record, and everybody was like, "Oh, Sia's so great," and then Sia doesn't do nothing.
Anybody go see Jay-Z last night?
No, but it was packed though, dude.
Yeah, I
we
missed-
let. Oh my god.
I missed that show.
Yeah, I think Katzenstein. Yeah, he's a big Jay-Z. Nickelbackenstein went.
Hey, stop saying that about that man. Call that man out his name. But no, he's a big Jay-Z fan. As am I, of course.
Understood.org and the ad
They went and ate at Dookie Chase's.
Oh yeah, they did. They ain't crazy. Dookie was in Lemonade.
Minutes away
I know.
on Sports 1280. New
Pretty good.
Orleans.
Leah Chase was in Lemonade.
I'm sorry, Leah Chase. Yes.
Angie, do we have Lorenzo?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Dunc and Holder, hour number 2 here on a Country Fried Friday, November 10th here. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan, Clyde Verdani in our NOLA.com Times-Picayune studios. And I will be heading to the Mecca that is Buffalo tomorrow.
I talked to someone today in Buffalo and said it was 22.
That sounds outright miserable. I
There
can't
was
wait.
Lake effect snow this morning.
Come on.
Have fun.
Really?
Have fun.
Oh, great. Of course. I guess I got to leave my flip-flops at home, right?
Probably be a good idea.
Yeah. Although you can be like one of these people, apparently a new trend is it's like a sock that you can wear that has holes in the toes and it comes up around your ankle. It's like a regular sock, but you can wear flip-flops with it.
Clyde knows everything.
I think I'm going to do that.
I mean, it looks trashy as all get out, but I mean, by no means let me tell you how to live your best life.
Hence why I would do it. I'm all in on that. But joining us here shortly will be Lorenzo Reyes from USA Today. He will be covering the Saints-Bills game as well. Look, obviously, this game, midpoint in the season, we've talked with Mark Gaughan, we've talked with Vic Carucci, both at the Buffalo News the past couple of days, and we've basically said the same thing. They're surprised that the Bills are 5-2. We're surprised that the Saints are 5-3. We're surprised that the Saints are 6-2, and it's something that, look, if the Saints are going to lose a game, because at some point we assume they're going to lose a game. I mean, they're not. We don't think they're going to be going. But yeah, so it's something that this would be the game to lose. I mean, because it'd be an AFC game, it wouldn't matter as big in the standings.
I think we both think this is a sneaky trap game a little bit because it's a team you're not used to playing. They don't play up in Buffalo very much. Weather conditions could be a factor. The Saints have been on a roll, won 6 in a row. And Buffalo's coming off a kind of an embarrassing loss, or a bad loss, I should say. They didn't play well. All the intangible factors favor Buffalo in this game. It wouldn't even hurt the Saints that much if they lost it. It's an AFC game. The Saints, one thing they've got going for them is all these NFC wins and the wins in the division right now are giving them a leg up on a lot of these tiebreaker possibilities if it gets to that point.
But joining us right here on the show is Lorenzo Reyes from USA Today, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Lorenzo, it's not very often you cover the New Orleans Saints, and it's not very often they've been in the national landscape. But look, even earlier this week, your colleague Jared Bell was here in town writing about the Saints. The nation is starting to pick up on the Saints. Just from afar, what have you seen from this team? And look, Jeff and I, like I said, we're surprised they're 6-2. I'm assuming you're probably just as surprised that they're 6-2 and on a 6-game winning streak.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I mean, Larry, you and I were talking about how this might be the season where, at the end of the year, we're seeing big changes in the coaching staff and stuff like that. Especially when they start 0-2, we kind of started to see, well, maybe it's time to blow it up. But really, the most surprising thing to me has just been the defense and the impact that you have in the rookie class. Those are the two things that really stand out to me because, I think we all knew that Marshawn Lattimore had the potential to become a solid cornerback, but I don't think anyone saw him being this good this quickly. And Alvin Kamara, I mean, he's really just such an electric playmaker. And I love the fact that Sean Payton has taken a little bit off of Drew Brees' plate and given it, the fact that the offense runs more or less through Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. I think to me that shows that this team has a formula that they can win late in the season if you can run the ball and if you can play good defense and stop teams from getting explosive plays. I think it's a shock, but they really do look like a legitimate contender.
Lorenzo, your story this week kind of sizing up and handicapping the NFC and AFC kind of contenders. You've got 5 NFC contenders. You got the Saints among them. We're talking about the Super Bowl here. And one of them, of course, is Seattle, which won last night against Arizona, but suffered a lot of injuries, including one to Richard Sherman. How do you think that affects them going forward? I mean, are they still a contender in your mind?
Yeah, I think they still. I think you can still put them in that class, but I think their case is definitely weakened, especially when you have Earl Thomas dealing with his injury. That's 2 key members in that secondary, and they're basically the heart and soul of that defense. I mean, they still have Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright's playing great. They have a lot of pieces on that defense that still make them an aggressive and very talented unit, but I just struggle when you have that many guys going down, and I'm still not convinced about Seattle's offensive line. I thought that was their biggest concern, but with Richard Sherman going down now, I think I still won't count them out just because they've been there before. They've had a track record of success. Especially, they typically improve late in the season, but as it is right now with Richard Sherman going down, I don't think their case is as strong as it was, certainly.
Lorenzo Reyes from USA Today covers the NFL for USA Today, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. And you warned me you would have a grand proclamation, and you guys have your mid-season picks on USA Today. And look, I don't even know if I'm going this far, but you have picked the Saints to win Super Bowl 52. My goodness. Are you feeling okay? And what has made you push that button to say the Saints, Drew Brees is going to be your Super Bowl MVP? What has pushed you to feel like they can go all the way this year?
Honestly, it was just a gut feeling. But before, here's the problem. I picked the Giants to go to the Super Bowl in the preseason. So, I put a lot of money into it. So,
Lorenzo's been drinking a little too much this year.
Honestly, I just watch their games, and I feel like they just look like one of the more balanced teams in the league right now. They've been able to get some pretty big victories against quality opponents, and they've done it really, without having those big mistakes that we had seen from them in the past. And I like what Philadelphia's done. I think they're a really good team. Dallas, they're a strong contender, but with Zeke out for a long time, I think he'll be, potentially, who knows what's going to happen in the court system, but Zeke should be back at least for the playoffs, we would assume. But still, again, this was more gut than anything. But I think what Sheldon Rankins has done, has been underrated. They just have a lot of pieces, and I see them kind of improving and ascending. I think they're still getting better as the season goes on. So it was just something that I couldn't shake when they asked us to file the picks, and I said, well, who knows? Let's just run with it. So that's more or less why I did it.
Lorenzo, you are now easily New Orleans' favorite national reporter, without question. You've surpassed Peter King by a wide margin now in that regard. But I wanted to ask you about the Rams, because that's a team that Larry and I were talking about earlier. We're not quite sure if we want to buy in on them yet. The Saints got to go out there in a few weeks. And that game early, when you looked at the schedule a couple months ago, I think most Saints fans thought, it's an easy win. And now it's looking like kind of a key game in the NFC. What's your take on the Rams so far?
Yeah, I think, obviously we have to put Sean McVay in the Coach of the Year conversation. I just love what he's done in making Todd Gurley. I just love that, Jeff Fisher sort of went away from using him. And, the offensive line last year, they were a mess. But one thing that I think has really helped them is that Todd Gurley's become more of a versatile weapon. They use him in the passing game, when last year he wasn't catching that many passes. The defense is improving. I think the last 4 games, they've only allowed 13 points a game, something like that. But the biggest question I have with them, and Jared Goff has really emerged in the second year, but if you're down 6 late in the game, can you trust Jared Goff to maybe go run that 2-minute drill and win them the game? That's the thing that I think we have to see more. I'm not sold that they can do it just yet, but they're really a good team. They're obviously they've got it going in the right direction. I think it's the best thing that Sean McVay has done is he's made the offense work for the players that they have, which when you have a young quarterback like Jared Goff and a really good running back like Todd Gurley, Sammy Watkins was a great pickup, and even Robert Woods has played well. They have some good pieces, but I'm just not sold on them putting them at that elite level in the NFC just yet.
Lorenzo Reyes of USA Today joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Look, the Saints taking on the Bills. What's your scope on the Bills? 5-3. They're coming off of a rough loss against the Jets. But what's kind of your take on the Bills? And look, obviously, even though it's an AFC NFC game, still a game of 2 teams that are pretty surprising considering their records. Saints are 6-2, and the Bills are 5-3.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was actually at the Thursday night game when they lost to the Jets, and I do like what the Bills have done. You know, it's we all thought they were in this rebuilding mode when they got rid of some of their pricier veterans and all that, but I don't think you can take away credit from Sean McDermott. He's really got the team playing quite well. I think they have a good formula. They're great at turning the ball over. They protect the ball, and they're pretty good at running the ball. So they lead the league in turnover differential. They're at plus 11, and I think that's going to be the key for this game, because the Bills have 17 takeaways, and the Saints, I want to say, have 9 turnovers.
Right.
So if New Orleans can protect the ball, I think their roster is stronger. But if Buffalo can get some of those opportunistic turnovers and they can start to change field position and get some easy scores on short fields, then I think New Orleans might have a tough time. But I think really the turnover battle, I think, is essential, because Buffalo, they entered the Thursday night game with only 3 turnovers, and the Jets basically doubled them up. They got 3 on Thursday night, so now they have 6. Tyrod Taylor, and he doesn't take those chances. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how that Saints secondary that's been so good, how they try to pick and choose their spots against Taylor, because normally he's pretty good at protecting the ball. So I think the team that makes the most mistakes, that's going to be the one that really it might end up costing them the game.
Lorenzo Reyes from USA Today. Don't forget, Saints fans, he has picked the Saints to win the Super Bowl. Drew Brees, the Super Bowl MVP. We're going to party like it's 2009 all over again. And Lorenzo might be the king of the parade if the Saints win. So
he'll have his own float for sure.
Exactly. So, hey, Lorenzo, appreciate the time as always, my friend, and I will be seeing you on Sunday.
Sounds good. Take it easy, guys.
Good deal. All right, that's Lorenzo Reyes. And look, you look at the USA Today midseason predictions, and 3 of their writers pick the Saints to at least get to the Super Bowl. Jarrett Bell and Mike Jones and Lorenzo picked them to win the NFC, and Jarrett has them losing to the Steelers. Mike has them losing to the Patriots, but Lorenzo has them beating the Steelers in the Super Bowl.
That's shocking to me. Like, just wasn't it 2 weeks ago we were saying how no one's on board? Now I think it's an overcorrection, as Jerry Jones said the other day.
Every one of their writers. I don't think we should be using Jerry Jones as a beacon or a bastion of level-headedness right now.
Every one of their writers has picked the Saints to win the NFC South, and 5 of the 6 writers have picked Marshawn Lattimore to be the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Mike Jones picks T.J. Watt to be the Defensive Rookie of the Year. So it's people are starting to get on board with the Saints. Get ready.
I think Lattimore is the definite front runner.
No doubt. On defense,
have the Saints had a Defensive Rookie of the Year? I don't think they have.
I'm going to go on a pretty steady limb and say no.
You like going on these limbs that could easily be disproven.
I'm going to ask.
Which I plan on doing right now.
What do you mean easily be disproven?
I'm literally looking it up right now, currently as we speak. And once we come back from break, I hope to have the answer.
I'll reach out to my Saints folks. We'll find out.
Saints folks here. Well, you know what? I'm reaching out to give my man that Lorenzo brought up, Sheldon Rankins, a hug.
I like it.
We're going to hear from Sheldon Rankins. Look, he thinks he's having a poor season. I think he's doing just fine, and I feel like I needed to give him a hug. So we're going to do that here coming up next. And Brett Martell jumps in and asks a couple questions, but he doesn't ramble too much. So that's a win within this interview.
Look forward to hearing that interview.
Yeah, so we'll play that coming up next, and, of course, we will have our Lock of the Week, Upset of the Week, Fantasy Stud of the Week. Hopefully I pick a guy who's actually active this week. So, you can't be a fantasy stud if you get 0 points. Leonard Fournette, thanks for nothing on that one, making me look like a goob. But anyway, I can do that all by myself.
The answer is no.
See?
They have not.
That was easy. See? I
told you.
I didn't even have to look.
By the way, I have a Twitter poll up.
Oh. I mean,
why didn't you tell me, dude?
You've gone weeks without a Twitter poll. Now you're just going to do one?
I dropped one because, I don't know if you saw, I got like a misidentified on Twitter yesterday by somebody thought I was the South Carolina representative, Jeff Duncan, and accused me of proudly endorsing a child molester. So I had to diffuse that.
So you had to diffuse that situation.
And in so doing, I brought up Girl Scout cookies, and we got into another Twitter debate over what's the best Girl Scout cookie. So we're going to ask our listeners and readers.
Really? That's our poll?
That's the Friday poll.
Oh, my God.
Love it, Jeff. Love it. Shenanigans Friday.
Oh, my gosh. Angie, take me away here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Girl Scout cookie bowl.
What did you say were the best?
Samoas.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That is the only answer. That is the only answer. Anyone that puts Thin Mints
are the Paul McCartney of Girl Scout cookies.
Thin Mints, I figure people would come on fire about Thin Mints.
There is.
You put them in the freezer
right now.
Well, you put them in the freezer, and Thin Mints are good. But no, Samoas win. There's no
Tagalongs.
I don't even know what that is.
Trefoils.
Tagalongs. I love the standard shortbread cookie.
I had a lot of people actually bring that one up.
I'm not. Well, it's sneaky good because it's good in coffee.
Oh, no, it's really good. But the shortbread cookie is the trefoil.
Yes,
trefoil. Is that how you pronounce it? Trefoil? I don't know.
Ready.
The best cook.
Hey,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Angie. We're rambling about Girl Scout
That's
cookies.
fine. No, great. Are you going to intro that?
Yeah, I'll intro it. Yeah, I'll intro.
Cool.
Yeah. Like it.
Have you've had those Biscoff cookies that they do on Delta? They're unbelievable in coffee.
So good in coffee. Delta coffee is so terrible.
Jeff, and it's like,
and
Jeff, here.
I know you always give them to.
I always give Jeff the cookies.
I always ask for like two cookies bags. Like some people won't give me 2 cookies. Some Delta flight attendants.
Samoas are the best.
Absolutely. Right now, Thin Mints are ahead.
What? That's crazy.
I better go chime in. I better go make a vote.
We got to end this now.
This is ridiculous.
Thin Mints just surged ahead. This is like watching the presidential election returns. It's so close. It's like 38 to 36. Nope. Samoas have gone ahead. I think Larry's vote just came in.
I just voted now.
And mine.
Oh, 37%.
What is this? The American
It's up to 39 now. It's up to 39 now.
Damn chaos.
All new
Who
cancers.
puts Thin Mints
so
this
close?
See, this is why America. Come on, America.
Cancer, liver and colon cancer, a type of esophageal cancer, and breast cancer.
I can't believe how
The more
close
you
it
drink,
is.
the higher the risk. Their
This is
message
gonna go down the wire.
Don't drink now, don't start. CVS Health, one of
Well,
the
the wire
nation's
is
biggest drugstore chains,
23
says
hours away,
it plans
so
to launch
got a little
next-day
while.
What do
prescription
you mean?
drug delivery
Polls?
service.
24 hours.
Will offer same-day service in several major cities,
weigh
including New
in
York
later.
and
Yeah.
San Francisco. The move is seen as a way for CVS to gird
you have time
itself
because this
against
interview is like
possible
5 minutes.
competition
So
by
I'll just
Amazon.
intro it and you can go.
Drugstore chains are worried that
You can go
Amazon
PP your life
will
away.
disrupt their industry, the way it's changed the way
know
people
what
buy
kind of pass
toys,
you need to
books,
get.
and groceries.
No,
Health
I've tried
Update,
it.
Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
Sensory sensitivity, repetitious behavior, lack of signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You have a job to fill. You post your opening to dozens of online job sites and receive 600 resumes, which you barely have time to eyeball and settle on someone good on paper. In real life, they aren't. You train, retrain, correct, redo, admit defeat, start all over again. Robert Half is the better way to find top talent quickly. Robert Half interviews and custom matches applicants to your exact requirements. Satisfaction guaranteed. Robert Half, the experts in accounting, finance,
All right,
Link break. Sorry.
You're gonna get in that seat or what?
Yeah, shoot.
Visit
Maybe.
roberthalf.com.
Don't fall out.
Video.
It's Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back to the show. Had a chance to catch up with Sheldon Rankins earlier this week, and if you look at his stats and you don't look at it in the context of what he's been doing, you would say he's been a disappointment. He only has 8 total tackles this year through the first 8 games. He hasn't missed any time, and I think he looks at the stats and wonders what on planet Earth is going on. But I put it into context, and I wrote it in my First and 10 column that's in print today and on NOLA.com right now. He got double-teamed at least 4 times in the first half of the Tampa Bay Bucks win, 30-10 when the Saints beat the Bucks. And then one time he got triple-teamed, and oh, by the way, 3 people blocked him, Cam Jordan picked up the sack. So everyone around him is benefiting from him, and yet he still feels very glum down in the dumps. So I feel like I needed to give Sheldon Rankins a figurative hug, and I almost gave him a literal one. I figured, hey, well, why not? But so here's my interview, and of course, like I said, Brett the Model Martell from the Associated Press. He chimes in for a couple of questions, and they're viable, so we left them all in. But here's Sheldon Rankins on just his play and just how well the rookies and second-year players are doing with the Saints team. So here's Sheldon Rankins.
Cam, just this question, like, how often do you feel like you deal with double teams, and is it something that do you find sometimes you get frustrated with it, but do you realize that it's pretty important because it does free up people to do some things?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely frustrating. My whole career, all I've done is go out and be a guy who makes a lot of plays. So obviously, first 8 games isn't exactly what I wish for, but. We're 6-2. I'm affecting the game in other ways. Pressures. Forcing guys to cut other ways. Different things like that. I just got to stay the course. Things will come my way. Eventually, people will start realizing, start running right in the cam, and they'll move right my way. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't frustrate me a little bit. But at the end of the day. I'm a team guy first, so being able to set up my guys and being able to help my defense become what we're becoming, I'm all for it.
Are you getting praise in the film room by coaches, even though they probably know you want to be frustration?
Yeah. I mean, coaches, teammates, guys always, let me know. Look, just keep going, going. Things open up. It happens to everybody. Everybody goes through spells. Everybody goes through long slumps. It happens. It's a part of the game. But like I said, I'm just gonna keep doing what I've been doing. And keep trying to impact the game the best way I can, and eventually those numbers will come.
What do you make of the? Do you have another one?
You can go.
What do you make of the number of first and second year guys? You being one of them, David being another. All in common goals, not just in the defense, but even Michael Thomas, second year guy, and then Alvin, first year guy. To be in a team that's rolling like this with so many young guys, what's that like? What's that feeling like?
I think it takes a certain type of guy. I think they've done a great job of bringing in the right guys with the right mental makeup, the right mindset, the guys that want to go out and get better, guys that want to go out and actually not just be a part of the team, but actually impact the team. So I think when you get a group of guys like that together, and then when you're led by guys like Cam and Drew, guys who have consistently done it at a high level, it does nothing but makes you want to raise your level of play, and that's what we've all done so far. We're going to continue to do so.
Do you think there's like a kind of a special or ideal balance of youth and leadership right now?
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Kind of the synergies.
Yeah, definitely. I think you combine guys who were here for that run. When the Saints were rolling. Just unstoppable, so to speak. And you combine, a group of young guys who are just hungry, guys who want to be great, guys who want to perfect their craft, and in a sense, don't know any better, but to go out and just play as hard as you can. You combine those two things together, and then you add in guys, like I said, have the mental makeup to fight through adversity, fight through. We may turn over this play, or the team scores this play. We combine all that together. It's been scary so far. So just we're only scratching the surface. Just continuing to get better, continuing to dive into what we have here is going to be big for us.
How much better is he? Just considering not even playing football growing up.
It's astronomical from where he was. Rookie minicamp last year to where he is today. I mean, rookie minicamp last year, he couldn't tell you any formation. But now, he's out there calling out things, identifying protections, and knowing where plays are going. So I mean, it's a huge leap. I mean, you see it. He's making plays. He's stout against the run. Pass rushing, doing all types of things. So. It's definitely a complete 180. He's only getting better.
You brought up the word slump. I mean, do you feel like you're in a slump? Because I see it as people are trying to take you out because they feel like you could be an impact player. Like when you're getting double teamed, there's a sense of we can't let this guy beat us.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
how do you balance that?
I mean, I do see it as that as well.
Right.
You know, I get it. You know, in a sense, you know, it's a compliment. You know that people pay so much attention to me. But at the same time, the competitor in me, you know, won't let myself make any excuses for myself. So, but yeah, I do get it. You know, it's the way the game. I mean, they got to.
30 seconds.
You know, the double team Cam, then they're leaving me 1-on-1, and you know they double team me. You know, Cam's further away from the quarterback. You know, a little bit further to go. So I mean, I get it. I get how the whole realm of things works. But like I said, yeah, I mean, it is a compliment, but at the same time, you know, I'm a competitor. I just want to make those plays.
I'm trying not to get you to say you're slumping. I'm trying to not be so hard on yourself.
I get it.
See, he gets it. Just want to give him a hug.
Wow, that was a love fest.
That's my guy. Sheldon's my guy.
I felt like I'm glad we weren't watching it.
Shoot, man, as a person,
R-rated.
I was going to say, man, as a person that, you know, dabbles or delves into, you know, the smooth jazz and R&B genre, the only thing we need at that point was a lit candle, a dimly lit restaurant, one table, two chairs, and a little bit of, you know, Sade Luther Vandross playing background.
Sade, I haven't heard that name.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Okay, great. Hey, Sheldon, give us a call, bud.
Exactly.
Hey, Jeff, Texas Saints again. Let them know we got an idea.
But seriously, when he's getting triple teamed and Cam Jordan gets the sack, I mean, look, that's what Sheldon's doing, and he's playing at times the zero spot, the nose tackle. He's not the typical nose tackle looking guy. He's not like Vince Wilfork type of guy, and he's commanding that respect, and others around him are getting the job done, and that's why. Look. That's why I wrote what I wrote, because people look at 8 tackles. That's all he's got, 8 total tackles this year. And they could say, well, what's up with Sheldon Rankins? He's supposed to be a first-round pick. He's doing what he needs to do, and it's not pretty, but it deserves to be at least lauded.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what Dennis Allen has to say about him. I'm sure someone today might ask him on the conference call, because he's doing some of that dirty work that you just don't – it doesn't show up in the box score, but it does show up on film when you watch, as you did, and you can see the attention that he gets from the opponents. And I've seen it it's sometimes during the games, because every once in a while you do think, okay, this guy was a first-round pick. What's going on? Last year he flashed a lot. He had, 4.5 sacks or something?
He had 4 sacks and he only played in 9 games. And look, he even said, he's like, look, the expectation is that I should be Aaron Donald, and I'm kind of bummed that I'm not playing. I'm like, that's why I was like, look, no. You're playing just fine. Like,
well, here's the other thing.
And there's also a stat. The last 6 weeks, Pro Football Focus did a stat on him where he's like a top 5 defensive tackle in, I think it's pass rush productivity, some sort of stat.
So he's getting in there.
So he's getting pressure and he's doing this, and those are the kind of the stats that people need to see. Just because he doesn't have a sack doesn't mean he's not affecting the play.
And I think another thing important to note, and we've seen this before, we've talked about it with Akeem Hicks on this show, big men, big defensive linemen, young defensive linemen, you can't give up on them. You got to let them have time. Sometimes it's slow to come around. They're slow to develop. Cam Jordan was certainly took a while to develop into who he is today, and Will Smith was the same way when he came in the league. You got to let those guys come around. We see it in Dallas right now. They're 2 defensive ends, David Irving and DeMarcus Lawrence, are among the leaders in the league. This is like their 3rd, 4th year, I think. So it happens sometimes, then especially inside at the defensive tackle position. So let's just give him a little time to come around, because I do think he's doing a lot of the dirty work inside.
No doubt about it. So let's take a break right here on the show, and when we get back, we will do our NFL Lock of the Week, Upset of the Week, Fantasy Stud of the Week, and then in our final segment, we will kind of give our Saints-Bills pick and give a little breakdown there. So come on back here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind. He was willing to make a deal. When he came
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz. To wrap up the work week on your Friday, a beautiful day. Mostly sunny skies, high temperature cool in the upper 60s. Now tonight, you'll need a jacket or sweater, 45 on the North Shore for the low, 54 south. Now tomorrow on Saturday, a dry day, but a few more clouds move in. Tomorrow's high in the lower 70s. And then on Sunday, as a disturbance works toward the western Gulf, moving in, we are expecting a few scattered showers at about 30%, with highs at about 71 degrees. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz with your Weather Authority forecast.
This report brought to you by Take 5 Oil Change.
From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz. To wrap up the work week on your Friday, a beautiful day. Mostly sunny skies, high temperature cool in the upper 60s. Now tonight, you'll need a jacket or sweater, 45 on the North Shore for the low, 54 south. Now tomorrow on Saturday, a dry day, but a few more clouds move in. Tomorrow's high in the lower 70s. And then on Sunday, as a disturbance works toward the western Gulf, moving in,
I think we just play it again.
Scattered showers
I just want you to know the weather.
With highs at about 71.
It may have played twice. I think it did.
I'm just zoned out.
I just looked up again. I was like, wait.
Oil change.
I was like, wait, didn't we just hear Bruce? It's going to be dry. It's going to be dry on Saturday, but hey, there's going to be some clouds.
Bruce,
our guy.
That makes you smile.
Yeah, whoever programmed the log may have put that instead of traffic. Put weather twice. Oops.
Waymo will start schlepping around people in minivans without.
Just want to make sure I'm not slipping. I'm not slipping.
Google parent company Alphabet is testing out their.
When are we going? We're doing picks up coming up.
Drivers in a limited
yes,
region
sir.
of Phoenix with volunteer passengers. The vans have a graphical interface in the back seat, which lets riders watch their driverless course, and buttons to call customer service or pull the car over. Waymo will be the first company to test out fully driverless cars.
There's some pretty easy locks of the week.
I'm looking. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Is passing out 10,000 Fitbits. The initiative is called All of Us, and researchers will use people's lifestyle data to better understand how people's genes and environment influence overall health. 8,000 people have already volunteered, but you need to be invited to volunteer. Apple will now let you test out Apple Pay Cash. The person-to-person payments allows you to send and receive cash inside the Messages app on iPhones. To be a part of the test, you have to have a device running the iOS 2 operating system. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
Larry Holder. What?
That's me, dude.
Join parenting experts at Understood.org,
Guru.
a free online resource about learning and attention issues designed to help you help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything. Brought to you by Understood.org and the Ad Council.
Nissan and iHeartRadio have teamed up to bring you exclusive content from some of music's hottest stars. And now Nissan is hooking up one lucky winner with a 2017 Nissan Titan XD. For official rules and your chance to win, visit iHeartRadio.com/Blake Shelton and be sure to enter. While you're there, check out exclusive interviews and acoustic performances.
Clyde hates Blake Shelton.
I don't hate Blake Shelton. Clyde hates everybody. That's not true. That is clearly not true. I've given out more love and more shout outs to people.
No, I don't care what who are you ripping on recently. You're ripping on.
I can rip on this dude.
Operator, won't you put me on through? I gotta send my love down to Baton Rouge.
New Orleans sports talk about your favorite teams. Sports 1280.
Boy, if there is one song in this world that I could die happy without ever having to hear again, man. Hoo boy.
Angie, play it again on a loop for Clyde. Let's do it. Anything we can do to make him
one
miserable.
song, man. Hoo boy.
Why? Why are you so upset about
trust
Garth
me.
Brooks?
I would say
she's going to keep playing it.
I would say more qualified than anything. I'm asking politely.
Oh boy.
Polite Clyde.
Polite Clyde.
Don't get used to it.
Trust me, I won't. NFL picks. We got our lock of the week, our upset of the week, and our fantasy stud of the week. And I just, like I said earlier, I just hope I pick a player that is actually active and not inactive for missing photo sessions and missing treatment sessions for his ankle. I just hope I at least get a guy who actually steps on the field on Sunday. And I'll do a better job.
Let's hope you do better than 1-12 like I did a few weeks ago, and you did what 2-8 and college picks.
College picks yesterday.
Cocky Clyde laughing his life away. Exactly.
Cackling over there now.
All right, let's do lock of the week. Let's start with you, Jeff. Lock of the week. Who you got?
Well, I like the Patriots going to Denver. Patriots, I think, are coming off a bye week. The Broncos are reeling. I think they've lost 3 or 4 in a row. Their quarterback situation is a nightmare. They are probably staring at another loss, and Vance Joseph's head coaching debut at Denver is kind of not going the way he expected. I think New England, even though they've struggled there traditionally out in Denver, this is not the same Denver team. And I think New England's getting ready to that typical kind of second half run where they figured out some of their weaknesses, and they're going to go on a big run. I think they're going to roll the Broncos.
Well, the Eagles put up 51 on Denver, so that's not the same Denver defense either.
No, I think what typically happens, I've covered teams like this, when one side of the ball really struggles, it starts to have an effect on the other side of the ball because those guys start losing interest. They feel like they can't do it all, and then it kind of snowballs into a bad year. And I could see Denver doing that. I mean, why did they go out and sign Brock Osweiler? I mean, that was
because they had no choice.
I mean,
who else are they going to go out and get?
Well, they had Paxton Lynch.
And it's easy to go back to that well.
Lynch is he hurt? I think.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, they're really hurting at quarterback. I mean, a franchise that has John Elway running things, you'd think they would have
go get Tebow back.
I mean, they're going to be in a market. They're going to have to make a trade and get a quarterback next year, whether it's through free agency or trade up in the draft and address that situation, or else they're going to be the Cleveland Browns of the AFC West.
They might go pay Kirk Cousins. They might do that.
Someone's going to do it.
Someone's
going to do it.
Washington do it.
Because Dan Snyder.
That's all you need to know. Dan Snyder.
All right.
End of discussion.
Lock of the week, Clyde.
Lock of the week, which I find this funny. Going to look at this game, which is my lock of the week. This forecast for this game.
Preamble with Clyde.
I know, right?
I don't
know if you guys haven't gotten used to this yet.
Preamble.
So
pick.
It's going to be rainy at this game. High of 41, and it's going to be rainy. Here's the rub. The Lions are hosting the Browns. Last time I checked, the Lions play in a domed stadium, so I don't understand what the weather has to do with this game. So my lock of the week, Lions 4-4, defeat the Browns 0-9. Man, the Browns are terrible.
So you stole my lock of the week. So
oh, dang.
I can't take that one. Anyway, luckily there are plenty of other locks of the week out there. I am going to take
the
Los Angeles Rams to pummel the Houston Texans. They are anywhere between an 11.5 and 12-point favorite at Los Angeles. Tom Savage is what the kids would say, not savage.
He's not savage.
Yes,
Tom, not savage.
Exactly. I'm going to go the LA Rams in the Stone Cold Lock of the Week.
Those seem like three pretty good locks, I think. I think we're safe on all three.
All right. Upset of the week. Clyde, we will start with you.
Okay. This one has a little bit of obviously, NFC South feel to it, because I think at the end of the day, the team that is going to either wreak the most havoc because they're still nipping at the Saints' heels or is in play for it at the end, especially going into the latter part of the season, I think the Falcons are going to upset the Cowboys at home.
The Falcons are favored.
Are they?
Yes. So that's a cheat.
Well, are they
what
favored?
What kind of line are you going by?
Clyde the cheat.
I'm not even looking at lines. I'm going by who, like most people think. I would figure that the Cowboys would be, even though they did lose Ezekiel Elliott for the 17th time over the course of this entire fiasco of whether or not he is or isn't playing. I don't think, in me
Falcons
personally,
are 3-point favorites.
3 points?
Now. 3. Ugh. So
next, pick another one.
Pick the Cowboys. All right. No, I just told you I'm never picking the Cowboys unless I absolutely die or have to. All right, looking at up and down this list, one game I would be. How about this? Bears to upset the Packers at Soldier Field.
The Bears are
favored too.
Favored by 6. Don't you have a line of God?
I'm not looking at the lines. I'm going literally straight up.
Segment and
any good at
it's been a long week, man. I'm okay with it.
All right, let's move on. Clyde's
I'm gonna come back.
Regroup.
Jesus.
All right, I got my
Jesus. What is going on here?
Gosh, the definition of an upset is you have to be the underdog. You understand this? Who would sports?
You're the fantasy football guy who takes Le'Veon Bell in the 7th round. Has anyone picked Le'Veon Bell yet?
Speaking of my fantasy stud of the week, thank you.
My college upset of the week is LSU over Arkansas. Let's go with LSU.
That doesn't make a lick of sense. You know that.
All right. Get out of here. I am taking upset of the week. The Miami Dolphins to upset the Carolina Panthers.
Whoa.
Ugh.
I like that pick.
I'm taking the Dolphins.
I like that pick, Sir Lawrence. I think that's going to happen. I think Miami's rejuvenated. Adam Gase shook up the locker room when he traded Jay Ajayi, and I think got their attention because they were awful when we saw them against the Saints at Wembley Stadium, and I think they're playing better. And I'm just not a believer in Carolina, so I like your pick. And my pick, which I make every week on this show, and I fail miserably, I'm picking the 49ers to beat the Giants and get off the schneid, get their first win. The Giants are in total disarray. They have to travel cross-country for a game, and I think the 49ers are due.
That line has flipped because San Francisco started the week as a 1.5-point favorite, and now the Giants are a 2.5-point favorite. So people are getting on board the Giants train. All right, Clyde, have you regrouped?
I've tried to.
Do you know the definition of an upset of the week?
Does Jeff know the definition of insanity?
No.
Exactly. So that's the same thing. So
what was that?
Exactly. Right. I'm gonna keep picking this team even though it doesn't work. Even though they haven't. It's like picking the same outcome, hoping it's different. Hello.
All right, preamble.
No, seriously, I'm trying to look for the.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to fantasy stud of the week. And last week, Larry picked Leonard Fournette and probably misguided all of our
as good as I'm doing right now.
Everybody was upset. Did that, by the way, did word break, though, in time for fantasy football owners to get a lineup change?
I had to jump him out of a lineup, and I picked up Chris Ivory.
Yeah, it was kind of early morning Sunday.
Oh,
it was early morning Sunday.
It was like at 10 a.m., 10:15, so you had a little bit of time. So
that would have been a nightmare if you had him and got 0 out of him.
Exactly. Well, I got 0 out of him on this show. So, all right, who's your fantasy stud of the week?
Well, mine is actually going to be one that I don't think a lot of people would think of in this regard because I think it's a little bit of an under-the-radar pick. And, Clyde, you referenced this game earlier about the Cowboys-Falcons. I think Julio Jones is going to have a big week against – he's going to respond after dropping. Drop? Yes. And I don't think Dallas' secondary still is top-notch. And I think the only chance Atlanta has of winning that game is if Julio Jones has a big game. And I think I picked Dallas to win that game, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if Atlanta does win.
All right, Clyde.
Okay, leave me alone. I'm going to do this. Okay, upset.
We'll see.
Cincinnati over Tennessee. Okay.
All right.
That's upset.
That's actually an upset.
Thank you. That works. Cincinnati over Tennessee, and then fantasy stud of the week. I'm going with Le'Veon Bell.
I gave you the fantasy
stuff. No, you didn't. I literally already had it, dude. You just ended up saying it.
I handed it to you on a silver platter.
Yeah, well, apparently you just this is Thoughtful Larry Friday. Thoughtful Larry Friday. He's giving hugs. He's giving Jeff directions.
He's letting him rip Boogie whenever he wants,
which is again not good, but it's fine. And then you're giving me fantasy picks. So thank you, Larry, for just being so great today.
Dude, I am pretty awesome.
Who's your fantasy stud that's actually going to be active?
Hopefully he plays.
I am going to go with Todd Gurley.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Against the Texans. Might as well stick with my game. I think Todd Gurley might have 700 yards.
And that's good because he's on my fantasy team. So I appreciate the endorsement.
Hashtag nobody cares about your fantasy football.
Speaking of, does anybody care about all day? Does anybody care about the Twitter poll, which right now is neck and neck?
How about we get the results after this break?
I'll just say this. It's 40% to 40%.
This is scary.
Oh, my goodness.
America.
All right. Saints, Bills, we will get our predictions in the final segment. So let's take a break right here, and we'll come back. We'll get Jeff's Cookie Gate poll results. Clyde will figure out what an upset is, and we will give our Saints-Bills picks. So come on back. One more segment here on the show on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Duncan Holder.
Chris Gordy. Defense is playing much better. I just think that looking at Dave Aranda, I don't know.
Next time you might want to have like the line up.
I did have. Why doesn't ESPN have any of the lines on?
You need to get into a real line, not some dated line that started out like CBS Sports or.
I use OddsShark.
Yeah, use like a real line.
Which is
whenever I type in like NFL odds, the first thing is Vegas Insider. So I use that.
That's fair. I'm pretty sure Vegas Insider either uses OddsShark or something close to that when I started looking. I'm pretty sure.
They at least have the opening line, and then they have all the other like
better prices every day.
Casinos and
store for details.
Some other stuff.
Yeah, OddsShark, SB Nation, Fox, Sports Illustrated, Yahoo, Bleacher Report.
Tonight I'm going
I know,
to
but some of those are like
KFC's Georgia
outdated.
Gold for
You know what I
dinner.
mean?
The honey mustard
Like
barbecue
CBS
is
Sports is
irresistible.
definitely
But on second thought,
Because
I want
they do
KFC's
the Marcus
spicy smoky
Carmouche effect of
Nashville
like
high.
putting
Okay,
out
now on
a
third thought,
story
I want sweet
for like
and tangy
Tuesday
Georgia
morning.
Gold. My fourth thought
Because he wants to get all the gamblers after they
My
lose
fifth
on
thought
Monday
has
night.
returned to my first
To immediately
thought.
start.
I'm still very hungry. Don't be like me. Try both delicious
Just like
flavors.
start putting it in now.
That's when he wanted me to get my NFL picks up Tuesday morning. That's when gamblers start thinking about the next week.
Well, that's what Derry does, right?
Yeah, he does his own Tuesdays. Yeah.
To the high cost of spay and neuter services. And to help, the Low Cost Animal Medical Center on Washington Avenue is offering low-cost spay and neuter services to area residents. Do your part
That's
to
weird, the
reduce the
Giants
number of
line
pets
didn't
that end up in
go the
shelters
other way.
by having your dog or cat fixed.
Yeah, they've been
In addition to helping with
especially
the
with all the talk about
overpopulation
Ben McAfee
problem,
losing his
animals
locker
who are
Yeah.
fixed are usually healthier and live longer lives.
Yeah, but
Go to
49ers are terrible.
lowcostanimals.org.
They are picking them and they lose by double digits. They were losing
Jay
about
Beathard
They were losing about
tackling
Why would
dummy.
they put in
Running back
Garoppolo? I
Alvin
understand
Kamara
that.
joining us on the show. Alvin,
They
good
don't
morning.
want him
How
to
are you,
get
man?
beat up.
I mean, Jacoby Brissett played like 10 days after they got
Adjusting to the
trade.
Crescent
Yeah.
City and
Garoppolo
all
ought
the
to be
Orleans
able to
has
learn.
to offer. How is
Yeah,
how is
basic-
it so far?
But
Context.
Jacoby is not the future. Garoppolo's the future.
That's what they must be thinking.
Yeah.
They don't want to get him hurt.
Exactly, because they're like, we stink so
But
bad,
shoot,
we
they
don't want to get
stink.
him
But
hurt.
they stink bad
Maybe
now.
they just want to
What-
keep losing so they get higher draft picks.
Could be.
You know,
Stock
now
it
they
up,
got their quarterback.
Ricky
the
Williams,
process.
when he first
Ooh,
came
who
to
did they
New
draft?
Orleans,
They
he'd never
drafted
been
Saquon
Bourbon Street
Barkley.
or anything like
I
that.
bet you they-
Have you gotten to check out
Yeah.
the night
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
The Browns are going to take a quarterback.
Or they get some team that's like the Jets who keep winning and they got to trade up to get the quarterback.
A lot of stuff in New Orleans,
They could
man,
probably get a
between
king's
Bourbon
ransom.
Street,
Right,
the
right, you're
nightlife,
exactly
and then
right.
the food.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
As an
No
athlete,
doubt.
Once you got Garoppolo, now you can
decisions.
dress up.
Well, because I feel like, okay, you could take Barkley, but you could also wait a little while and move down and get like
What's
Geis.
the best thing
Yeah,
you've eaten so
Nick
far?
Chubb or somebody.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, what, Chubb and Sony Michel?
Well, the best example of that theory
Man, we're
is
gonna have to
Kareem
take you
Hunt.
out.
What was he,
Get
like
you
the
some
sixth
real
running
New
back
Orleans
taken?
food.
Yeah.
Show you
Look
the
how
real
good he
po'
is.
boy
They
joint.
got him in a mid-round.
Come on, I'm ready.
You do fried seafood?
Yeah, I do it all.
Okay, there we go. All right.
The Chris Cordy Show, weekday mornings 8 to 10 on Sports 1280. New Orleans.
She didn't just visit the sick and poor. She moved in with them because they needed help. Mother Teresa couldn't do it all, but she gave her all. Compassion. Pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at Vantage.
Oh, if I got an email about my Goodell column.
Dunc and Holder now. Josh Innes next at noon on Sports 1280. New Orleans.
Saints heading up to Buffalo. They are anywhere between a 2.5 and 3-point favorite in Buffalo, which to me is kind of surprising, given the way that Buffalo has played. Even though they stunk the last time they played last Thursday night against the Jets. But Buffalo's 4-0 at home. Certainly the Saints are a dome team, and the elements they're not exactly accustomed to playing. It could be I think it's 40s and possibly rainy. And Jeff, you're telling me it's snowing, and I'm fearing for my sanity when I go up there.
Happy packing.
It was 22 this morning. I think it warmed up, but 22 before sunrise. And lake effect snow. Have fun.
I will try my best to never go outdoors.
And you know, it'll be interesting. You know what I thought of? The first thing I thought of when I started thinking about this game and the weather is the Saints' struggles with catching punts. Who's going to be back there in that weather? If it's raining, slippery ball, I mean, it's going to be an adventure.
I've wondered the same thing. And if you're the Saints, do you just let the ball drop? just
might be better.
Just let it drop, at least on a punt. I mean, look, Ted Ginn has been an adventure. Willie Snead tried once and fumbled it away, so that's certainly something I know Sean Payton is probably losing sleep over, because he knows that a team like Buffalo, look, they lead the NFL in turnover differential. They're at plus 11, and you know that the Saints have had their issues the last couple of weeks. They've overcome them, but they've had their issues with giving the football away. And look, Jeff, we always talk about these road games with the Saints. look, they were lucky to kind of get away with it when they played in Green Bay. They had a couple of turnovers. Drew Brees threw 2 picks, but the Saints were able to rebound. And like, if you're playing Aaron Rodgers, you're getting scorched, but they weren't. And so they were able to overcome that and pick up the win. But look, I think you could say that every week because takeaways are such a big part of the game. But if the Saints don't take care of the football, they've got no shot up in Buffalo. They've got to take care of the football.
Well, that's part of Buffalo's success this year has been the takeaway margin that they've enjoyed. And I think Sean Payton's probably hammered that point home all week. I'm sure Drew Brees knows if it isn't there, throw it away. Let's live another day. Let's punt. Because Buffalo's, for all their strengths that they do have, they're not an explosive offense. So this, as I said the other day, I think it's going to be a field goal type game, field position, and the Saints are built better than ever to succeed in that kind of environment.
How much leeway? Well, 2 questions. Number one, how much leeway do you think, especially in meetings, looking at film this week, does Drew Brees have in terms of, calling things, calling audibles and being able to, just sling it around? And then 2, how much do you think Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram and guys like that are licking their chops because it could be a game that's played on the ground?
I think Drew Brees has carte blanche to do whatever he wants anytime he wants. But that being said, I agree with you as far as the Ingram and Kamara question because they've done that even indoors at home. They've leaned on those 2 guys. I think they absolutely lean on those 2 guys come Sunday. And we referenced it earlier this week, the 2009 game, the last time they played in Buffalo, and that was in late September that year. But it was a grinded-out type of game, and I think it's going to be that type of game as well. Look, my pick's already in print and in my 1st and 10 column. I'm taking the Saints 21-17. I don't feel great about the pick, but I'm just going to ride that. I feel like the Saints are better than the Bills. And low scoring, and like you said, Jeff, it's not like the Bills are this explosive offense, and the Saints have doesn't matter where they're playing, their defense has taken out a lot of offenses lately, and I don't think that LaShawn McCoy and a Kelvin Benjamin, I don't think they scare the Saints at all. So 21-17 Saints, so I think the Saints will leave and be 7-2.
Yeah, I'm very close to you. I picked the Saints 24-18. Look, the Bills are 4-0. Is it New Era Field?
New Era Field.
Yes. New Era Field. So they're successful there, but they haven't played anybody as good as the Saints at home this year. And I think the Saints are built to kind of succeed in these conditions.
2014 Saints.
So we're all picking the Saints, low scoring.
That's a bad omen, too.
You said it was a bad omen a couple of weeks ago, and I think we were all pretty close to the scores.
I think we all picked the Saints a lot lately, and they keep winning. So
yeah, that's true.
We're not exactly the jinx.
I wanted to say something before we get off the air because we failed to acknowledge today starts college basketball. UNO goes to St. John's tonight, and Tulane opens up at home against Long Island, Brooklyn.
LIU Brooklyn, yes.
And LSU plays Alcorn State. So we should at least acknowledge college basketball tips off tonight. That'll be cool to see UNO St. John's, how they do. I think is Chris Mullen the coach there? Or not? I think he is.
I don't know.
I think he still is.
So they're playing at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see them.
And I think that game is on Fox College Sports tonight.
Yeah, I know it's on TV, so I'm going to check out some of that because it's hard to believe college basketball already starting.
All right,
crossover season.
There you go. Well, want to thank Lorenzo Reyes, want to thank Jimmy Smith, and want to thank Jim Derry. Clyde.
Don't thank Clyde.
Thank you, Clyde.
Thank you, Larry.
See that? Look, I'm giving everybody a
shut off his mic.
Magnanimous, Larry.
Exactly. Angie, appreciate you putting up with us for another day. And look, if you missed any of this show, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. So come on back. I will not be in studio on Monday.
Safe travels, bud.
I will be traveling back
Thin
from
Mints
Buffalo.
Just ahead of Samoa's in the Dunc holder poll on Girl Scout cookies.
Very important poll of the day.
41 to 39%, neck and neck.
On that note, enjoy the weekend. Sports1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
That's crazy. Who are these people voting for Thin Mints? America's going to hell in a handbasket.
Go on Twitter and vote now.
Thanks, Angie.
Thanks, Angie.
Bloom County, one of the great Bloom County.
All right, guys, have a good weekend.
You too.
We should be back on Monday, okay?
All good.
They said America's gone to hell in a handbasket ever since David Lee Roth left Van Halen. Like that was the penultimate thing. We're just off the cliff. Off the cliff.
WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280.